Our first speaker is a gentleman by the name of Joe Nesci, who is a personal friend. Joe played, coached in CYO in Brooklyn. He was involved in running the Brooklyn Queens CYO for a short period of time. He coached at Xavier High School. He coached at NYU for 30 plus seasons, retired this year, and is now working with Hoop Group. He's going to be our first speaker. After that, you'll be hearing from Steve Rossiter, who I'm sure everybody here knows, a former Jakes Award winner. He was a coordinator of Our Lady Queen of Peace. He's currently the IABO rules interpreter, first, a retired firefighter. So at this time, once again, if you just walked in, please find a seat. At this time, I'm going to give the microphone to Joe Nesci, and he's going to get the program started. Joe?
Thanks, Mike. Very happy to be here with you as you guys are getting ready to kick off your season. When Mike asked me to speak, I asked him initially, what can I do? What would be helpful to the coaches as they get ready for their season? And he thought a number of things. One would be to speak about my overall experiences and how Catholic Youth Organization and CYO has played a part in what I've done for the last 40 years of coaching. So I really would start off and let all of you know that for me, CYO was a driving force in what I decided to do with my life. As Mike said, I just spent the last 30 years as the head coach at New York University in Manhattan, and it was a great, rewarding experience working with young men, seeing them grow and develop, just like you guys do now, with young kids. And now, in May, I transitioned. I retired from the university, spent 34 years at NYU overall, as an assistant coach. Prior to that, I was teaching and coaching at Xavier High School in Manhattan, and it was an easy transition. Xavier being, about a mile from New York University campus, for me to walk over there, and I worked part-time as a coach at NYU, while working as a teacher and a coach at the high school. But for me, the opportunity to get involved in high school athletics really came about because of the experiences I had, first as a player in the Catholic Youth Organization. I think all of you know, but I would say it anyway. As coaches, we have a profound effect on the young people, boys and girls, that we coach. That's at every level. It was no different for me as regards to dealing on a daily basis with my players on the college level. It was no different than dealing with them when I coached 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade CYO. The vision or the notion when I was coaching at CYO, and I had always aspired while I was involved in CYO coaching, that I would want to coach on a high school level. I really had no idea that I would wind up coaching college basketball, but as you grow and mature, find different paths. But the one thing I learned court, how you interact with your sixth man, your 10th player, not just the first five, is so important. And again, I know you're aware of that, but I have to tell you for myself, and the experiences that I've had over the years, being able to have my players, whether they be CYO players, who I still see from time to time, recount stories that they remember as kids that a lot of times I don't remember. The effect that we have on them off the court is tremendous. So always remember the responsibility that we have as coaches to provide a safe environment, an environment that's fun, and a training ground for our kids. Because as we know, what we do here, okay, is besides having fun, it's life lessons. How do we deal with losing? How do we deal with adversity? How to be a good teammate? These are things that go beyond just the winning and losing. And let's face it, not all of us are going to have winning teams. But what we can do is make it our priority for our players to have great experiences, have enjoyable experiences as being part of the team. One of the great challenges I would find as a college coach is that, you know, as you go up the line and the competition gets, you know, steeper, tougher, how is the 10th player, the 11th player, the 12th player on your team, how are they doing day to day? I know in your case you may be practicing once or twice a week, but are we watching their body language when they're in practice? Maybe they're getting limited time even in practice if you have 12 players in scrimmage. How are they doing? Are we paying attention to their needs? You know, as CYO players, we have our very good players who are aspiring to play high school basketball. And then when they get to high school, a lot of the players that were star CYO players are not playing much. They may be reserves on a high school team. How do those kids adjust to that? Can we help them? Those of us that are coaching maybe high school CYO. So with our younger players, if they're not getting a lot of time, kids place so much value and importance on their self-image. We know this. Important for us to remember. We have to be able to help them understand and know that each and every one of those kids have value in being part of that team, no matter what their role is. And that's something that I know I learned and continued to work on, to try to be good at, being sensitive to all our players, and understand that we're coaching all of them, and not just some of them. For me, I will tell you that initially, as a player, a CYO player, I was a reserve player. I didn't start playing basketball until I was 14 years old. I was playing baseball all the time. Baseball. Then I got into high school, and as a freshman, there were a group of us that didn't make like the CYO, didn't even try out for like the CYO 9th grade team. And someone's father said, you know, hey, we can start a team. And they went to the parish, and the pastor said, okay, you have a coach, we'll let you do this. And that was my first exposure to playing organized basketball. And I can remember the first game that I played, we lost the game like 109 to 26. 109 to 26, okay? And they put me in the game, like, end of the first patient, to teach, and I had a real good feeling that he cared more about me as regards to trying to teach me the game and cared about how I might feel as opposed to, gee, you're making a mistake, you're doing something wrong. Following year, I'm on a more competitive team. You know, I get the bug, I'm playing a lot, so I'm finding some success, but I'm still a reserve player. But my coach that year, the biggest impact he had on me was not on the court. And that year, we actually won the diocesan championship. We won the Brooklyn Queens championship. So we were on a great team. But this coach, every Monday night, would tutor me in math. I would go to his house. There would be Monday night football on in the background. Then he would spend the next 2.5 hours with me, helping me because I was a poor math student. So to me, this person really cared about me. And the fact that I was playing basketball and enjoyed that was great, but this started to make me think, this is really good. I like this. I feel good about this. Maybe I can do something like this. And thus I got involved in coaching in the CYO. So what I would say, coaching-wise, is I hope that all of us really understand that we have a great opportunity to impact young lives. And we also have a responsibility as regards to how we impact those lives. If we're positive in our approach, if we remember that we're a role model, and what we say and how we say it is going to have an effect on our kids. And if we do that, we start off on the right foot. What I'd like to do is just kind of maybe segue into something a little different beyond I gave you kind of my background, but I know you're going to have Steve speak to you, and I think we're going to talk about officiating, and I wanted to throw out at you maybe some of the landmines that, as coaches, we face, and maybe some of them that I'm not aware that you face that you might have a question for me. But I know two hot button topics will always be is dealing with officials, how we do that, and then dealing with parents, the parents of our players. So, I don't know how all of you specifically deal with it. I don't know if you have a policy within your parish from your athletic director. I don't know if everyone has their own way of dealing with it, or on your own. But first with officials. So the first thing I would say, and again, I would tell you that, far from me saying that I was perfect as regards to my interaction with officials. But is Dave talking today, Coach? So, I mean, if you do talk to Dave, he'll tell you. Dave never gave me a technical foul. Did some of my games. And I will tell you, probably in the 30 years as a head coach, I probably had maybe 5 technical fouls in 30 years, okay? So, I don't say this to you as, you should do this, but it's okay for me to scream, rant, and rave. But what I would tell you is what I learned, and I'm sure you've heard this before, but when you interact with an official, the first thing is to remember is an official is a person like you are. And they're there to do a job, and you know all this. When I say they're a person, if they make a call that you disagree with, and again, anybody can make a mistake, but if it's, let's say it's something really that they missed, what you need to do is interact with them in a way where you don't embarrass them, you get your point across in a fashion that is real, but without cursing, make a statement of fact. I think you missed that call, or that was a bad call, but if you yell it across the court, as opposed to when the referee is passing by and saying, hey, I really think you missed that, or that was terrible. Most officials will probably listen and have an answer or a reaction that is fine. Yelling across to an official, profound language, that's never going to solve it. And the second thing, as we know, it provides a bad example for our players. So what I always try to do, and I got better as I got older, is remember how to interact with the officials and make my points at appropriate time. Parents. On the college level, it's very different as regards to how we deal with parents. Because we have, on our teams, right, young adults. So our interaction and our responsibility are to our players and how they fit into our program, how they fit into our depth chart, what we see for them, short range. If we have a freshman who we think has an opportunity to really develop and be a good player, we communicate to that to them, you know, while we recruit them, and certainly talk to them about our long-range plans. It's about communication over the 4 years. Parents are not really involved in that. They always want to be involved, and they try to get involved side door. But not that we won't speak to them, we will, but it's very different from what you have to deal with, and I'm aware of that. From my position, I would expect that your best course of action would be to have a meeting with your parents and outline the expectations. There should be an outline of expectations as regards to what they can expect for their sons and daughters with your basketball team. Okay? Is there a playroom coach in all divisions? Yeah. Okay. So, you know, I won't get into the playing aspect as regards to playing time. If it's parish by parish, whatever that needs to be, that should be communicated. And if it is communicated up front, I know sometimes that doesn't mean that you still won't have problems to deal with parents, but it definitely cuts down some of the problems. Secondly, the more communication that you have, the more you're going to know about your players through their parents, and the more they'll get to know who you are. And they'll see you more as a person, not just a coach. So having open meetings, talking about what the expectations are across the board. One rule of thumb that could be helpful to all of you. I have this with all the players that I coached in college. If they want to come in, obviously we always talk about their role, what I see it as, playing time, etc. But I would never allow them to talk about another player. Coach, I think I'm better than John. John does this, doesn't do this. John, don't talk about your teammate. You can talk about yourself and what you think your role is, but don't bring your teammate into it. I think regarding parents, if you're talking to them, I think the same should hold true. They shouldn't be telling you that so-and-so is not as good as my son or my daughter. You want to talk about your son, your daughter, and how they fit in? Absolutely. You can talk about that. Find the positives and the things they could work on. And it all goes back, guys. It really does. If you are diligent in your thinking, every time you practice, every game, about how your kids are doing as regards to, if they're not playing a lot, what's their body language on the bench, during practice? Are they having fun? You can't hide it. If if there are kids that are not happy, you know, for whatever reason, at some point, you're going to discuss it, you're going to address it, whether it's through the parent or the player. So, I think getting it out there and even being proactive is a good way to go. So, those are some of my suggestions. Would anybody have any questions on anything regarding coaching landmines or anything? Anything that I mentioned that spurs some thought? Yes?
Back in 1977, when we played St. James, did you do it a different way?
Oh my goodness. How are you? Good to see you. Pretty good. Pretty good. One of my former players right there. Is he? Okay. With that, I wish all of you great luck this year in starting your seasons, great success. I hope you guys have a lot of fun and that you build some great memories with all your kids and enjoy. Thank you so much.